It's a really important period for the Gunners that could really make or break their season already. Against a Brighton side who've been really making waves under Dario Vidicic. It's been a joy to watch the style of brave possession football he's brought to that Brighton team, who will be really tested tonight. Some smart recruitment in the summer combined with the red-hot form of Nikita Paris in recent times. And Fran Kirby, of course, so often the scourge of Arsenal from her time at Chelsea, will be roaming around that midfield tonight. Brighton in their changed yellow and blue kit to attack from right to left. Arsenal in their traditional home red and white to kick from left to right as we look at things in this first half. Moment to take a stand by taking a knee against all forms of racism and discrimination. Incredibly important that this game is for all of us to enjoy, regardless of your identity. Off and underway here at the Emirates then, on a big night in North London. Few would have predicted at the start of the season that Brighton would travel to Arsenal in match day 7 of the Barclays Women's Super League. 4 points above the Gunners in the table, and with an outside chance of going top tonight if they could win here. And Spurs did them a favour with a surprise victory against Manchester City, which kicks off in just under half an hour's time. That is the scenario, though. Arsenal with their worst league start in a decade and under immediate pressure. Seke across. It needed stopping, and Williamson was there. Brighton immediately demonstrating from the kickoff exactly what has made them so exciting to watch this season. Really brave passing possession football. They've had the ball in their own third more than any other team this season. Demonstrates how much work Dario Vidicic has done with his defenders and his goalkeeper Sophie Bagley on the ball now, at being comfortable with it at their feet. Meanwhile for Arsenal, of course, every day's been like a battle in this campaign. The departure of Jonas Eidevall early on, now searching for a permanent successor still. Little ball clipped forward in behind McCabe. McCabe hoofs it up, and that will be a foul. Foul by Vicky Losada, who certainly won't be even close to being overawed by the stage of playing at a big stadium like the Emirates. Is one of a number of really experienced players in this Brighton side. Losada with just the 375 appearances for Barcelona, and I say just in the most sarcastic way possible. It's known as the eternal captain of the Blaugrana. A treble winner back in 2021, started her career at Barcelona and returned there in 2016 very successfully. Had spells with Roma and Manchester City, and of course once of Arsenal, just before she went back to Barcelona in 2016, won the FA Cup and the League Cup during her time with the Gunners. Nikita Paris in the Brighton lineup, of course, also once spent a season with Arsenal. And was there for Eidevall's first season, the 2021-22 campaign. Nice distribution from Zinsberg. Worked out right for Fox. Mead inside, back in the starting lineup tonight. Home fans immediately into a good voice, sensing their team desperately needs their support. They're already a long way off any title hunt. Arsenal 7 points off Manchester City, 6 points behind Chelsea, who have a game in hand on them, and 2 points behind Manchester United, who also have a game in hand on them. And of course Brighton in third, 4 points clear of the Gunners. Williamson looking for one of those trademark crossfield balls. Half cut out by Frosdottir. Now wide from 4. Early chance for McCabe to cross. McCabe's ball in. Header from Mead is straight at Bagley. Well-constructed move from Arsenal, who have been wasteful in front of goal all too often this season. Have done the first thing right in terms of getting a shot off on target. René Seger's expressed a bit of frustration that her team had 16 shots in the 1-1 draw against Manchester United, and just 4 of those were on target. Now Brighton trying to play out from the back. Corrali only found Williamson though. Catley, who's more recently slotted into left centre-back, certainly helps provide Arsenal with some better balance with a left footer in there. Seke, Kirby. Referee Fern almost got in the way. Kirby finding Lasada. Karali. Will be interesting to see also how these formations match up. Arsenal something of a variant on a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3. Brighton very clearly in a 3-4-3 in contrast under Vidicic. Series of challenges in midfield. Referee says play on. Leonardson Mornham. McCabe forced back. Williamson. Back to Catley, who often in the Manchester United game was swapping roles between her and Katie McCabe in that left back and left centre back position. Catley. Just comes off the foot of the Sada. Out for an Arsenal throw. Russo. Charging forward, she was excellent against Manchester United, looking to build on that form. Little ball inside, this is lovely from Arsenal. Late challenge on McCabe is a very good one. And I say late, not in the sense of the timing of it, more the fact that had it come any later, McCabe may well have pulled the trigger on that wand of a left foot to make it 1-0 Arsenal, but it's a fantastic piece of defending. Maddison Haley back there. Haley's nominally an inside forward in this system, but Brighton at points will need every player they can have available back in defence, and that was a good example. Great challenge in there to win it back from Little. This is going to be a fascinating tactical contest. Brighton will look to pass their way out of trouble. Lasada's as good at that as anybody, as is Frank Kirby. Haley. Brighton stroking the ball around nicely. Paris. Oh, there's lots of room out here for Pattinson. Pattinson for Seke, who's offside. Promising early signs, though, for the Seagulls, who are having their best start to a WSL season ever at this stage. They've already just 3 points off their entire tally for last season. If that doesn't tell you how much they've improved, I don't know what does. Brighton finishing 9th last season, a best ever in their 6 WSL seasons of 6th, which they managed under Hope Powell back in the 2020-21 season. Brighton up in the dizzying heights of 3rd coming into tonight, and very deservedly so. Leonardson Mornham finds lots of room, not for the first time tonight. McCabe is in space. McCabe's cross on the run is over here. Arsenal looking to be a little bit more productive in attack tonight. Had the second most shots in the WSL this season, the Gunners. They've created the most big chances, a statistic measured by Opta, but they're 9th in their conversion rate for putting those away, and they're 10th in terms of percentage of the shots that they have taken that have been on target. So those statistics really do tell their own story. Brighton playing out from the back, but losing it in doing so. Little round the corner, Ford. Just wanting to work a shot on that right foot. Mead. Leonardson Mornham seemed slightly uncertain as to whether she was crossing or shooting there, Frida Leonardson Mornham. Wasn't quite either a player gambling at the back post for the Norwegian. He was actually a lifelong Manchester United fan, as is her entire family, but her cousins and uncle were Arsenal fans, so talked about the fact they're the happy part of the family when they saw that she'd signed for Arsenal a few years ago. Of course, the two teams meeting at the weekend. Russo's goal cancelled out by Mallard's equaliser, on by Mead. Karali hurriedly clears. Nudged into touch. First touch of the night for Daria Vidicic in the Brighton technical area. Spent 2 seasons at Melbourne City, leading them to the title in his second. They've really backed in Brighton, given Vidicic a 3-year contract through to the summer of 2027. Assisted by Chris Roberts, who joined from Everton, having been the number 2 at the Toffees since 2018, including a brief spell once in Inter in charge of Everton. Brighton Brains Trust will be content enough with what they've seen thus far. Sinsberger. Nice distribution forward from Williamson to a fellow Lioness in Russo. Little. Arsenal looking to probe. Leah Williamson, who was discussed by her Arsenal interim head coach René Sleeg, as you said, with some criticism that Williamson has received. Said we have a saying in the Netherlands that the tallest trees catch the most wind. Karali. Karali looks right. Worked inside for Haley. Just a slightly heavy touch. It came back for Brighton. It was lost by Forrestdotter. Williamson. Little. Trying to turn her way away from Kirby. They've had plenty of battles over the years, of course. McCabe. Catley. René Sleeg is talking about Steph Catley at centre-back being an advantage and build-up for a left foot, and also describing Catley as good in the air, someone with good timing and courage in aerial duels. It's an area of the team to keep an eye on. Tim Stillman was saying that before he departed, Jonas Eidevall's priority in the next transfer window was signing an aerially dominant centre-back. Ideally one that probably was left-footed as well would be on the bill. Something Arsenal haven't quite had since the departure a little while back of Rafael Sousa. Leonardson Mornham just trying to spray one out left for Ford. It will run for McCabe, or not quite. Good desperate defence from Maria Forrestdotter. The right and left centre-back are really important in this system that Brighton play. You can see Arsenal are already trying to exploit the space between the right centre-back and the right wing-back, in the same area on the opposite flank too. It's the most obvious area that if a side plays a 3-4-3 against you, that you would tactically look to work the ball into. Arsenal have done it a couple of times with McCabe already. Leonardson Mornham. Mead chopping inside. It's Beth Mead. Oh, what a goal from Beth Mead. Fine footwork and a fine finish to match from one of England and Arsenal's finest. Beth Mead back in the starting lineup and back in the goals. Her 6th goal across all competitions this season. And you can feel not just the excitement but the relief here at the Emirates for the home fans. In what's been a tough season for Arsenal, they've got an early lead to build on. Mead getting an assist for England in the recent international break when England lost 4-3 against Germany at Wembley. And an assist for Arsenal in the 4-1 Champions League home win against Vålerenga. But that's her first goal in an Arsenal shirt in a little while, since scoring in 4-0 home win in Champions League qualifying against BK Häcken at Meadow Park. That was back on the 26th of September. First goal in 8 Arsenal games for Beth Mead. It's good vision to pick Mead out as well. Arsenal creating the overload on one side of the pitch, dragging that Brighton defence across. And now Brighton's resolve really will be tested. On a night where Arsenal know they can't really afford to do anything but win to try and keep up a push, if not for the title in the distance, to make sure they're right in that hunt for the top 3. Brighton win tonight would take them 7 clear of the Gunners, albeit that feels quite a way away now, with Mead having Arsenal ahead. Corrali. Crossfield ball, looking for the run of Haley, who gets there. Kirby just helps it back. Haley. Brighton recycle and look left. Seke has plenty of options in the box. Seke's cross came for Haley, who couldn't quite bring it under control. Madison Haley, who signed from Sydney last year after a ridiculous run of goal scoring in the Australian women's top flight. Before that, impressed in the NCAA with Stanford. Pattinson plays it inside, but the run of Lasada was more going out towards the left wing. Mead, the goal scorer, has to be wary. Little. Mead wins the throw as Arsenal try and find their way out. You can see Renee Slegers in the bottom left of your picture. Slegers, who had a stint in the Arsenal Academy as a player back in the 2006-07 season as a teenager, when Emma Hayes was head of the Arsenal Academy. That's how long ago that was. Assisted by Kelly Smith. Slegers talking about the magical experience of getting to train a couple of times with the first team, the likes of Alex Scott, Jane Ludlow and Rachel Yankee. Throw conceded by Guro Bergsvand. Brighton under pressure here. It's the Brighton fans you can see up there just by where that throw-in's being taken in the southeast corner of the stadium. She-Goals, the official Brighton supporters club, do a huge amount in terms of subsidising coach travel and handing out song sheets as well at home and away games to help get an atmosphere going. Been an excellent form, particularly at home this season, Brighton. 3 wins and a draw across all competitions. McCabe taking her time. Catley goes back to Williamson. Nice pass from Williamson. Was looking for Russo initially, it seemed, who peeled away. See again Brighton set in that back 3, looking to work their way out. Arsenal will be happy with how little service Brighton have managed to get into Nikita Paris, who's in her number 9 era, having spent a lot more of her career generally as a forward player in the wide channels than so much centrally. Certainly the recent times in her career. Mead has room, but is offside. Beth Mead, who does seem to particularly enjoy playing Brighton. She's been at her best against Brighton of any team in the WSL. Now has 8 goals against Brighton in the league and 5 assists. It's a head-to-head that Arsenal totally dominate. 12 wins from 12 in the league, scoring 44, conceding just twice. It's the second best head-to-head in WSL history. Manchester City with 16 wins from 16 against Everton. Arsenal winning 5-0 at home last season and 3-0 away. Seike inside. Paris just had to stop in front of Williamson. Check back. Did well to keep it there, Nikita Paris. He's on a scoring streak at the moment, 3-3. Miscommunication means that ball didn't head to its intended target of Forest Dotter. Well, Arsenal will hope that the early goal frees them up a little bit in attack. Ball forward, well cut out. Now back from Fox. Emily Fox, who really has been running on rocket fuel, the Flying Fox. She won the Olympics with the USA in August, was going to be rested for the game against Leicester in September before Laura Wienreuter got injured in the warm-up. Well, Fox never really got that rest. She's played every single game at right back for Arsenal this season and has been in action plenty for her country too. Here's Russo. Has Mead, who already has one, but again is offside. Beth Mead, who a couple of months ago in the goalless draw here against Everton made her 200th appearance for Arsenal. Karali, star of Colombia's World Cup campaign last year, Yorelin Karali. Back by Little. Arsenal right now with the confidence of Beth Mead's goal. Chasing a second, Fox. Has managed to get there. Fox back for Mead. Little. Fox again. Down the line, intricately worked. It's Little's cross and it's 2-0 Arsenal. Caitlin Ford. A beautiful move from Arsenal down the right. Fox, then Little, then Ford. 2 goals in 10 minutes or so to settle the nerves of the Gunners. Ford tucks it in from close range for her second WSL goal of the campaign, her 7th across all competitions. It's a long way back for Brighton now. Ford, who scored 4 in a Champions League qualifier against Rangers. Also scored in the 2-1 defeat here against Chelsea in the league and in the Champions League group stages in a 4-1 win here against Vålerenga. Was also on target for Australia recently on international duty in a 1-1 draw against Switzerland. Brighton suddenly with all the questions to answer in this season where there's been rightly so much excitement about Dario Vidicic and what his side have done. 1-1 draw against Manchester United, wins against Leicester, Crystal Palace, Aston Villa and Everton in the league. McCabe wins the tackle. There's a little bit of something afterwards with Haley. Kirby in there. Such an asset to this Brighton side, Fran Kirby. A bona fide women's football legend, a summer signing from Chelsea where she scored 116 goals. Often the ghost of Arsenal fans' nightmares, Fran Kirby has scored in 2 FA Cup finals at Wembley against Arsenal in 2018 and then in 2021. The second which secured a domestic quadruple for Chelsea. Seike in behind. Pattinson has room to cross. It's nice tracking back from Fox. And suddenly space on the counter-attack. Ford has options left and right. Eventually gets it out to McCabe. And then the strike. Oh! What a goal! One of the best from Frida Leonardsen-Mornem. Just guided it into the top corner so nonchalantly. Has a look up, picks her spot, and my goodness me, are Arsenal putting on a show. 3 goals in 12 minutes or so. Well, Brighton have just got to find a foothold in the contest here. Continues her red-hot run. Leonardsen-Mornem, who scored 5 goals in 2 games in the international break for Norway. Scored 4 in a 9-0 win against Albania, and also scored 1 in a 5-0 win against the Albanians a few days before. It's her first Arsenal goal since scoring the winner in a 1-0 victory at Leicester back on the 29th of September. Lasada back. Hurriedly cleared by Bagley. Pattinson. Seike. Kirby. Karali. Brighton need a quick response. Seike. It's managed to dink it past Fox. Seike's cross. Comes back for Pattinson. Lasada. Directing traffic in front of her, seems to be signalling that wasn't quite getting the amount of attacking movement that she wanted ahead of her there, Vicky Lasada. Lasada, who's been superb for Brighton this season. More tackles, interceptions, crosses and fouls won than anybody else for Brighton in the league so far this campaign. From the Spanish women's footballing legend, best known for her time at Barcelona. Lasada tackled there by Little, who will be all too aware of not wanting to give a player of Vicky Lasada's quality much time on the ball. Karali. It's given away by Lasada. That's a collector's item. Spread wide by Liavalti. Ford. Ford across. And arriving was Leonardsen-Mornem, and just in the nick of time, Poppy Pattinson got back there. And that's a wasteful bit of distribution at the moment. Brighton is struggling to find the answers. Arsenal tactically are managing to play out of the Brighton press with an amount of ease that will be concerning for visiting fans watching this. Williamson. Well, I mentioned just at the very start of this game about how there's so many different statistics that point to Arsenal being wasteful in front of goal in the WSL this season. My goodness me, they're putting that right tonight as Mead helps it on. It could be 4 inside half an hour. It almost is, off the post. Brighton are at 6s and 7s. Arsenal are all over them. Ford trying her luck. Sophie Bagley was in a sort of almost half court between coming out and playing sweeper keeper or hanging back, and very nearly paid the ultimate price. Leonardson-Mornan. Well, they only had 7 in 6 WSL games so far this season coming into tonight, Arsenal, in terms of goals scored. They had 7 in 6 games. They've got 3 inside half an hour here. Forrest-Dottir can only pass it into touch. This is going to be a real test of Dario Vidicic's footballing philosophy that he's brought in at Brighton, looking to pass the way out from the back. Zoe Johnson, Brighton's managing director, said that was one of the big things that caught Brighton's eye as a young coach with a progressive outlook. Vidicic having Spurs men's boss Ange Postecoglou amongst his references when he got the Brighton job. Put into touch by Forrest-Dottir. Postecoglou actually coached Vidicic when Vidicic, in his career as a men's player, was playing in age group youth teams. Vidicic going on to play 23 times for the Australian men's national team. Well, it gets from bad to worse for Brighton because Forrest-Dottir looks in a bit of discomfort. She'll battle on, but the last thing you need when you're in a position like this is a key defender with a knock. Forrest-Dottir, Norwegian international with 71 caps for her country, half Icelandic as well, but chose to represent Norway. Ford trying to slide one in behind. Bagley will gather. Brighton looking for a moment to breathe in the contest. Both these teams in what is a pretty busy fixture run. It's 5 games in 21 days for Arsenal. In 4 days' time, they travel to Juventus in something of a group of death in the Champions League. Bayern Munich also in that group, who Arsenal lost 5-2 away against. And then the North London derby just 4 days after that Juventus game. And then 5 days after playing Spurs, Arsenal play Juventus once more on match day 4. All the way back to Zinsberger. Hasn't had a save to make so far. He's distributed well though. Taken off Fox. There's good work in there to win it back by Maisie Simons, but Brighton haven't been able to keep it for very long. Brighton, who after this have back-to-back home games. In 8 days' time host West Ham United, and then a week after that play Leicester City in the League Cup before welcoming Chelsea at the start of December. Chelsea, of course, who will have just kicked off away against Spurs in a London derby elsewhere. Arsenal knocking the ball around with confidence. Falti. Williamson. Sophie Bagley, who joined Brighton from Manchester United a year or so ago. First really made her name in the WSL with a very good season at Bristol City. They were relegated, but Bagley herself was excellent. Mead has knocked it past Corrali. Corrali has to slide in the nick of time. Little. Leonardson-Mornan. Work down the line for Rousseau. Ford. Arsenal are really cooking here. They look like a team that have got their confidence back, and sometimes a little run of goals can do that like nothing else. Leonardson-Mornan has room to shoot, might well do so, and does. Bagley has to save well to her right. You can't give a player like Frida Leonardson-Mornan that much time and space, particularly when she's already scored one crackerjack. And this was almost another for the collection. Need to take the corner. Brighton have already conceded as many goals tonight as in their previous 6 league games this season put together. Could be McCabe with the outswinger or Mead with the inswinger. Frank Kirby's not happy about something. There's a discussion going on between Kirby and McCabe for an extended period. Comes in from Mead. Stabbed out of play by Kiko Seike, who really made a name for herself by scoring a hat-trick on her WSL debut. She's also recently been awarded the 2023 AFC Women's Player of the Year. It's part of a side that won back-to-back league titles in Japan with the Urara Red Diamonds. But we haven't seen much of Seike or indeed Brighton going forward so far. Pattinson clears off Ford. Ford. Lazily running forward. Found a decent enough ball in that almost worked out for Arsenal, who really are swarming like bees around honey on this high press. Look at the number of red shirts up there. Brighton just can't find their way out. Corrali acrobatically clears. It's Nikita Paris, the number 9, who's back there being hustled off it by Little. But hustled off it with a little too much physicality for referee Amy Fern's liking. Arsenal looking well placed to continue what's been a great run against Brighton. Last 5 games against them have scored 19 and not even conceded. Brighton last even scored a goal against Arsenal back in 2022. Emma Koivisto had them in front, but Arsenal went on to win that one. Kirby, always dangerous. Looking for the 1-2, almost got it. Good interception by Leah Valti. Valti, who of course is well placed to captain her country in her home Euros coming this summer in her home country of Switzerland in 2025. Valti speaking out about the Swiss national team, saying there are moments where I'm very frustrated and annoyed. We've been pushing women's football for years, and I'm very honest about it. That's my way, but it's also a fact that development in Switzerland is progressing more slowly than in other countries. Hopefully hosting the Euros this summer might go some way to changing that. Velti making those comments in the Swiss publication Sport Lerin. Simons. Macy Simons, who can be a really good playmaker for Brighton in that central area, but Brighton have struggled to get into the game. Ever since Beth Mead scored for Arsenal in the 13th minute, it's been distinctly one-sided. Paris trying to turn and make something happen, only finds Valti. Bit of space up here for Forrest-Dottir. Linking up with Kirby, the 2 old Chelsea teammates. Forrest-Dottir also having a spell with Manchester United. Ball forward has too much on it. Sinsberger can gather easily enough. Sinsberger has to clear a little hurriedly. Leonard Samornum again. Arsenal find their way out of Brighton's press all too easily for the visitors' liking. Bergsvand gets the throw. Well, they say life is like a classroom. Tonight, Brighton finding it tough. I've learnt a lot from this first half of football. We'll have to try and take those lessons in real time. Seike. Masada progresses it on. Seike runs into heavy traffic in the form of Flying Fox, who charges in not once, not twice, but 3 times, and then is chopped down by Bergsvand. That will be a free kick. Well, that really was commitment of the highest order from Emily Fox. And it ends up with Arsenal getting a free kick and for a Bergsvan going in the book. The Norwegian international Bergsvan, who's been alongside their fellow Norwegian Trorisdottir, trying to marshal a defence that's been under huge pressure. Needs cross. Bagley Gavas. Sophie Bagley, who only actually became a goalkeeper by complete chance, spent quite a significant period of her career as a junior player, as an outfielder in an array of positions, only volunteered when her team was short once, and the rest, as they say, is history. Leonardson Mornham, Rousseau's cross. Whistle had already gone against Mead. Mead couldn't hit the target anyway. Arsenal ready to launch another high press. Brighton trying to find the answers. Brighton, who on their training ground, the new training ground that was opened just a few years ago, an 8.5 million bespoke women's training facility, has a message on the walls talking about ambitions to be a top 4 team. Brighton starting tonight in 3rd, having never finished higher than 6th in the league. Late Paul Welch, a significant funder of that training ground. Right now, here come Arsenal, who want to make it 4 before half-time. Mead. Leonardson Mornham with the dinked cross. Comes back for Little. Now Velty. Haley slides in. Brighton just trying to make it through to half-time and then see if they can regroup. Forward by Williamson. Leonardson Mornham. Arsenal zipping the ball about. Velty, lots of room for McCabe to cross. McCabe's ball in. It's a decent ball in. Not quite converted. Still there for Arsenal though. Fox. Fox can cross, instead slips it inside and gets it back. Fox just about to shoot, was stopped by Seike. Superb challenge. Emily Fox dreaming of what would have been her first ever WSL goal. Fox, who has already got her first goal for Arsenal, that came in a 4-1 win here on match day 2 of the UEFA Women's Champions League against Vålerenga. Really does like to fly forward, Emily Fox. She's averaging more than a shot a game, which for a fullback is incredibly high numbers. Need back. Remember, if you want to keep up with all things across the Barclays Women's Super League, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel that's already up to 135 subscribers and counting. You can use @Barclays WSL as well, @Arsenal WFC for everything from the home side, @BHAFC Women for everything from the away team. If you wish to get in touch with me, your commentator, Michael McCann, you can do so on @ThisIsMcCann. Arsenal have got more probing of the Brighton defence to do before half-time. May still yet be 4 before the break. It's been one heck of a performance from a side that have needed a reminder to everybody of what a good team they can be. what's been a tough campaign for them so far. Kirby almost getting onto it. Leonardson Mornham on the turn. McCabe has lots of room. He's looking for Velti. Velti going shoulder to shoulder with Vicky Lasada. Just 1 minute added on at the back end of this first half. Has not really been many delays of particular note. And Arsenal may yet go in with a fourth goal. Could be McCabe on the left foot. McCabe seems to be just making a little signal as to what play it might be from the training ground routines. And it comes, it's a double bluff, and it's almost 4-0. What a stop from Bagley to deny Beth Mead. Arsenal really did make it look as if McCabe might be taking that. Not time for the corner. Arsenal will have to settle for 3 by the half-time break. And my goodness me, they'd have taken that when this one kicked off. Brighton coming into tonight 4 points above the Gunners in the WSL table. But first half goals from Beth Mead, Caitlin Ford and Frida Leonardson Mornham mean that at the break it is Brighton Hove Albion with all of the questions to answer if they're to stage some kind of miraculous comeback. At half-time here, it's Arsenal 3, Brighton Hove Albion 0. The second of the 2 out to kick from left to right in their changed yellow and blue strip. Arsenal in the red and white now attacking from right to left as we look at things. So Arsenal looking to build on an excellent first half. Brighton looking to try and fight their way back into the contest, having conceded as many goals in one half of WSL football as they had in their previous 6 games in the competition across all season. Brighton seems pretty clear straight from the kickoff, very much sticking to Dario Vidicic's footballing philosophy of looking to play out from the back wherever possible. The Seagulls somewhat unstable in the last couple of seasons. 5 head coaches in the last 2 campaigns before this one. Hope Powell left in October 2022. Then Scheuer spent 3 months at the helm that season. Amy Merricks was twice an interim coach. And then Mel Phillips took charge in April last year, but didn't quite last a full calendar year. Went in February of this year, with Mikey Harris taking interim charge until the end of last season. Here's Russo. Russo's cross has too much on it. Velti. Little. Leonardson Mornham. McCabe. Both teams unchanged at half-time. Both managers, of course, have got up to 5 substitutions in a maximum of 3 stoppages up their sleeve. Back to Bagley, who's slicing it out of play under pressure from Arsenal. Will be hunting more goals. Arsenal had been. As Thrusdottir's down. Now this is a concern for Brighton because she took a knock in the first half as well. Arsenal coming into this game had the second worst expected goals of any team in the league going forward. Just 7 goals scored and 10.6 expected goals based on the quality of the chances they created, scoring anywhere between 3 or 4 fewer than they should have done. They were really waiting for trains that just weren't coming, but it's fair to say that the goal station's been pretty busy for Arsenal tonight. Looks like a side who are rediscovering some of their confidence. A nice moment there as Frida Leonardsen-Mornum checked on our international teammate Maria Forresdottir. Forresdottir, an experienced campaigner who's been a massive player for Brighton since signing, taking all of her experience from her spells at Manchester United and Chelsea. Marisa Olislajas would be the obvious player to come on. It's a very versatile defender, a summer signing from FC Twente. Mostly plays down the left side. Could also be Rachel McLaughlin. That would be the obvious straight swap, given that Forresdottir is operating down the right side of the defence. It depends on how Vidicic wants to rearrange his pack. Brighton, of course, doing plenty of good things off the field. Brighton announcing last year plans for a first stadium in England built specifically for their professional women's team. A bespoke facility with their preference for it to be in Falmer, close to the club's main stadium, and a capacity in the region of 10,000 or so, I understand. Of course, Brighton tend to play most of their home games currently at Crawley, at Broadfield, or a few times a season do get to play at the main stadium, also known as the Amex. Maria Forresdottir's night is unfortunately over early due to injury. And on comes Rachel McLaughlin, signed this year from Rangers after winning the Scottish Cup with a player of the match performance in the final. Scottish Cup winner as well with Hibs and Scottish international. Has WSL experience from a spell at Yeovil Town a few years back as well. And McLaughlin's first action is to win it off Leonardsen-Mornum. Haley with the foul on Catley. Ball down the line for Ford. Does just about keep it in. It's towards Mead. Nobody knew where it had gone for a slight second. Russo tries to clear it. It's penalty box pinball. And Leonardsen-Mornum can't quite help it in. Arsenal corner. Arsenal showing no sign of wanting to settle for 3. Have already scored 4 a couple of times this season, both of those in Europe against Häcken and Vålerenga. McCabe delivers. Header over from Leah Williamson. Looking for what would have been a relatively rare goal. Always offers an aerial threat up from the back, Williamson. Who's yet to score this season for a club, but was on target for England in a 2-1 win a few days ago against South Africa in Coventry. Arsenal monopolising possession and looking to continue from where they left off. Have to go quite a way back for Leah Williamson's last Arsenal goal, coming in a 4-0 win home against Reading on the 12th of March last year. Here's McCabe, shimmying inside, and then Velti with a shot. Well, that really would have been a collector's item. Leah Velti trying her luck. Does have a goal in Europe this season for Arsenal. Has more than 100 appearances in the WSL and scored just once in the English top flight. Velti scoring against Liverpool away. Williamson. Leonardsen-Mornum. Didn't quite find Mead. Ball forward invites Haley onto it. Catley gets there first though. Force back though. That's nice chasing from Madison Haley. Sinsberger hurriedly clears. Brighton still yet to really test Zinsberger. Sounds like to me like there's going to be an extensive series of substitutions pretty soon for Arsenal. Plenty of action on the bench in front of us. Fox. Ford. Linking up with Leonard Simon. McLaughlin wins the foul off Caden Ford. And Scott and the Aussie coming together in the duel. And then Ford offering an outstretched hand there. Brighton trying to play their way out of trouble. Have found that difficult tonight. Pattinson just about got it. He's trying to find Seke in behind. More Arsenal pressure. Little. Felt he can't quite keep it at her feet. Haley goes down and eventually Brighton get the decision. Referee Amy Fern had looked to play on. Now I think we will get the changes. It's a triple change for Arsenal. Kyra Cooney-Cross, Laia Codina and Stina Blackstenius to come on.
Arsenal substitution number 10, Kim Little.
Kyra Cooney-Cross on for Kim Little. So that will be a straight swap in central midfield. Emily Fox makes way, gets a very well-deserved rest. She's consistently been a starter in the Arsenal 11 at right back throughout this season. Laia Codina comes on. And to complete the triple change, it will be Stina Blackstenius who will come on. Now that will be interesting to watch because Frida Leonardson-Mornham, who of course scored that magnificent third goal, makes way. It means that Rousseau and Blackstenius are on the pitch at the same time. There's been a lot of chat about that number 9 position at Arsenal. Rousseau and Blackstenius offering completely different ways of doing it. Blackstenius liking to run in behind in the channels. Rousseau liking to come to feet and get more touches of the ball. Tim Stillman saying that Jonas Eidevall never quite nailed that 9-10 relationship for Arsenal, and it will definitely be on the in tray of whoever ultimately becomes the new permanent boss. Renée Slegers, of course, right now doing what she did at Rosengård once upon a time in Sweden, taking over a team, having been Eidevall's number 2 after Eidevall has departed. Managed to lead Rosengård to Swedish Championships in 2021 when Eidevall left mid-season to join Arsenal, and then 2022 as well, but struggled in 2023 before departing her post. Stranger things have happened than Slegers getting the job full-time. She's made a triple change before the hour mark, giving the subs plenty of time to make an impact. It does look like Rousseau slotted into more of a 10 role, with Blackstenius playing highest up the pitch, and it is Blackstenius giving it to Kirby. That launches Brighton on the attack, but Paris runs into McCabe. Russo fouled by Lasada. Proactive substitutions is one thing that's been noticed. Jessie Parker-Humphries on the Counter Press podcast, who's one of the best tactical minds around women's football, talking about one thing she'd really picked up on is how much more proactive Slegers is in making tactical tweaks and substitutions earlier on. Noted Mariona Caldente being moved into the 10 role at half-time to help Arsenal in that game against Manchester United, where ultimately they drew 1-1. Mead on the press against Karali. Arsenal have 2 changes left up their sleeve. Brighton still have 4. Karali has to be careful. And then Valti. Russo was onside. Mead runs into heavy traffic. And Brighton get the free kick. And Beth Mead is winded as well. Mead, of course, who scored the first goal back in the 13th minute. With a fine finish on her left foot. Does seem to have a wry smile on her face, which is a cautiously positive sign. This is how it happened. Coming together with Yorelin Karali. Those two had quite the battle when England faced Colombia in the Women's World Cup last year. Cooney Cross now up there leading the press. Paris down, Lasada couldn't quite find Seike. McCabe slaloming forward. Getting the free kick. That's a good advantage played by referee Amy Fern. Referees get a lot of criticism. It's a thankless job, but deserve being applauded for the many good things that they do. Cordina takes the free kick. Forward round the corner, that's clever. That Australian link-up finding Catley. Blackstenius on the turn. And now Kirby has options ahead of her. One of them is Paris, looking to find Kirby. The pass wasn't quite right. Half an hour plus stoppages left. Arsenal in the mood for more. Bagley comes out in the nick of time. Arsenal, remember, who coming into this fixture were having their worst WSL start in a decade. Since 2014, it was that long ago that seasons were done on calendar years. And it went on to be the only season in Arsenal's entire history where they finished outside the top 3. Arsenal finishing 4th, 5 points off Liverpool. Arsenal losing 5 league games that season, which was more than the previous 9 put together, in an era where Arsenal routinely, almost always, ended up winning the title. Liverpool, of course, winning it in 2013 and 14, though. Valti with the interception. Kirby left frustrated that it didn't get there. Just hasn't clicked going forward for Brighton tonight. Ford running into trouble. Brighton have still got to believe that if they can get one back, they can make the Emirates a little nervy. Kirby. Worked inside by Haley. McLaughlin, Pattinson. Rare attacking platform here for Brighton. Seike. Too much on the ball across for Kirby. Fran Kirby, who a few weeks ago backed Casey Stoney to replace Jonas Eidevall as Arsenal boss. Kirby, who off the field has had plenty of battles with career-threatening knee injuries, and then fatigue, pericarditis, an inflammatory condition that led to her nearly quitting football, and has spoken publicly about the challenges players face in terms of their body image. Talking about comments where people have said Fran played really well, what a game, but she looks big today. Fran saying, why is that comment necessary? It shouldn't matter what my body shape is. A player who on and off the field uses her platform for good, and I know a lot of other players have quietly expressed real appreciation to have a legend of the game speaking up about an issue like that, and the abuse that comes online as well. Direct ball forward, looking for Haley. Head injury, so rightly immediately stopped by referee Fern. It will be a yellow card for Madison Haley for the challenge. More importantly, hopefully Steph Catley is not too seriously winded. Haley goes in the book. Catley has been a valuable piece of what Renee Slegers has called her tactical puzzle, playing at left centre-back recently for Arsenal. Catley back on her feet and will continue out there. Looks to me like since the substitution of Cordina has come to left centre-back, and Katie McCabe has gone across from left-back to right-back. Foul on Russo. Alessia Russo dropping deep to link the play. It's continued tonight off the excellent display that she showed in the game against Manchester United, her old club, where definitely felt like she had a bit of a point to prove. Max Radwin of the cutback noting that she had 8 shots in that game and just 11 in 5 league games before that trip to Manchester United, where of course she also scored the opening goal in a 1-1 draw. Catley. Kirby wins it off Valti. A lovely moment of class from Fran Kirby, who's always so impressive to watch, and Brighton is so lucky to picked her up from Chelsea in the summer. There was plenty of interest both from English clubs and abroad. Seke. Drifting inside, Seke has a go, and Zinsberger has to make a decent stop. Lovely effort from Kiko Seke, who scored a hat-trick against Everton on debut. Has not netted for Brighton since, but nearly did so there. A rare foray forward for Brighton. Vicky Losada to take the corner. Losada's ball in. Cordina ended up on the floor at the far post, and then it was Russo hammering it clear. Brighton with this aggressive pressing style in the 3-4-3 system, and there's been an uncompromising commitment to that. One thing you can say that is a silver lining, a sliver of positivity for those away fans, so you can see at the top of your shot, is that Brighton are broadly playing a relatively similar tactical way. Have at least managed a little more of an even sense of being in the contest in this second half, albeit the damage has very much been done. Paris, he hasn't seen much of the ball tonight. Beautifully worked, Seke to have a go. Oh, so close. Kiko Seke hits the bar. Brighton almost given a lifeline by their Japanese star forward. Seke, who set a new record of goals in a single Japanese league season before going on to sign for Brighton from the Urawa Red Diamonds. And Brighton on the high press. Cordina has to be wary. Catley. Kirby was offside after it had been won by Haley. Tough day for Dario Vidicic in the Brighton dugout. Vidicic said about managing women's players compared to his experience as a men's coach. They like to question why more often. I find that awesome as a coach because you're challenged. You need to have the answers for those whys. I've really enjoyed always being asked why and just wanted to get as much knowledge and know as much as possible. Certainly finding out a lot about his team in tough circumstances here. Still a quarter or so of this game left, and it's been given straight to Blackstenius. Hospital pass from Brighton, and now Arsenal trying to capitalise. Mead. McCabe. Codina. Pass wasn't quite weighted right for Catley. Haley and Catley going up against each other in the duel. Ford in behind. Arsenal still on the lookout for permanent head coach, of course. One thing that is quite clear from recent reports is that despite a lot of rumours and speculation, it won't be Nick Cushing. Once of the Manchester City women's team, currently managing in men's football in the MLS in America. Plenty of scrutiny around that, and there'll be plenty of work to do for the new incoming permanent manager. The new Arsenal permanent boss will have to try and build a castle out of all the bricks that have been thrown at them. This time for their intro, it will be moving on from Edeval's departure, Viviana Miedemar leaving in the summer, and slowly starting to try and establish a new era at Arsenal, as well as developing the club's young talent. But this performance, regardless of who will take over, whether it is René Slegers, who's in the interim capacity at the moment in the dugout, or someone who might well be watching this broadcast, they'll be pretty pleased with what they've seen. As Haley heads into touch. Looks to me like another Arsenal change is imminent here. Lena Hurtig, who only recently made an injury return after 11 months out, playing in the Champions League game here against Vålerenga, seems ready to come on. Russo. Codina. Catley. Catley's cross. Cooney cross on for Mead. In by McCabe. And Ford trying to bundle it in. Up against Bagley. It's still not cleared. And away in the nick of time by Rachel McLaughlin. Brighton surviving by the skin of their teeth from going 4-0 down. Sophie Bagley hurt in the process. Ford managed to get in behind McLaughlin. Bagley couldn't gather it. And Stina Blackstenius was coming in trying to smuggle the rebound in. I have to feel for Blackstenius in particular, who scored twice recently on Swedish international duty against Luxembourg, but is still chasing her first Arsenal goal of the campaign in the Women's Super League, and indeed across all competitions. Hasn't scored in 6 Champions League games and 6 in the league. Blackstenius closing McLaughlin down, who just about got it clear. Well, Brighton have already had Maria Forrest-Dottir, one of their senior defenders, go off. The first choice goalkeeper Sophie Bagley heading off injured, would make things even worse for the poor Seagulls, who are finding it tough at the Emirates. Meanwhile, there is that change. As expected, it is Lena Hurtig to come on, and it is Caitlin Ford who scored the second goal of the night, her 7th goal in all competitions this season, to make way. So Arsenal have now used 4 of their 5 available changes. Hurtig, who has had a a lot of bad luck with injuries during her time at Arsenal. Her surname literally means faster in Swedish. Certainly a player that offers plenty of pace and trickery. Most of the time used predominantly up the left flank, and a veteran of the Swedish women's national team, where she's played for more than a decade, including scoring the penalty that sent the US women's national team home in the round of 16 in that World Cup a year ago. Bagley back on her feet, and to Brighton's relief, okay to continue. Lena Lög is the backup Brighton keeper. Was signed from Kristianstad in Sweden in January of this year. Sophie Bagley very much first choice. Seems to not quite be 100% by just the body language there, but good enough to play on. Karali, back to Bagley, who has Stanius closing her down. Losada. Worked into the path of Cooney Cross. Arsenal well on course for a statement victory. Of course, going on at the same time, Chelsea versus Spurs. If you don't wish to know the score in tonight's other Barclays Women's Super League game, give your audio a mute for the next 30 seconds or so. Here's Ford. Ford's cross, Arsenal corner. So elsewhere tonight, kicking off half an hour later than this contest, Manchester City against Spurs. And right now it is Manchester City in control, thanks to 2 goals from Khadija Bunny Shaw early on in that one. Home support making themselves heard. McCabe over the corner. This season, of course, the Emirates for the first time becoming Arsenal's main home of the women's team. A minimum of 11 games this season, at least 8 in the Barclays Women's Super League and at least 3 in the Champions League. And it comes from McCabe, and just about cleared by Bagley, but then in it goes on the rebound. 4-0 Arsenal. Looks to me to have actually been an own goal from Maisie Simons. Lena Hurtig getting the congratulations. It was McCabe's cross. Just wasn't dealt with. It's always been very good in the air, Hurtig. But that will definitely go down as an own goal because Bagley makes the save, pushes it away. So Hurtig getting the congratulations. I would expect in the hard fact sheets in black and white, will go down as an own goal, unfortunately. Really damaging Brighton's goal difference and giving Arsenal's a much-needed boost. They're on to +6 as things stand. Coming into tonight, Manchester United's was 7, Chelsea's was 17, no less. And Manchester City's was 8 at the start of this evening. So Hurtig concedes the throw. Seems to me like Arsenal are going to make their 5th and final change pretty shortly here. Looks to be Rosa Kafaji warming up and ready to come on in the not too distant future. Catley up against Haley. And Catley in again with a block and charging down McLaughlin, who shows nice composure in a tight spot. Simon's inside, but has only given it to Blackstenius, who gets it back off Mead. The neat interplay doesn't quite work out. Losada ticks it on. Seke driving at the Arsenal defence. Getting it inside to Losada. Karali. Well, the conversation coming into tonight's game was very much around how wasteful Arsenal have been in attack. Safe to say they've turned that one around this evening. Foul on Mead. One thing to keep an eye on for Arsenal's attack in the future is the need for a Rosa Kafaji-style signing of an attacking wide player who scores goals, with Mariona Caldente, Beth Mead and Caitlin Ford all 29. Tim Stillman making that particular point. But for now, Arsenal fans won't get a Rosa Kafaji-style player out wide. They'll get Rosa Kafaji herself, who tends to prefer operating in the number 10 role, but can play out wide too. Kafaji, the Swedish international, still yet to get her first Arsenal start, but got her first goal for the Gunners with a magnificent volleyed strike in a 2-0 win at West Ham. Goes by Rosa, but her first full name is actually Rasul, which means messenger in Arabic. It's very much seen as one of the bright young messages of this future generation at Arsenal. Recently got her first goal for Sweden as well. Attendance confirmed is 22,467. Vast majority those home fans, but a decent number of Brighton fans in the southeast corner have made the trip as well. So Arsenal have made all 5 changes. It does mean that an injury now would put the Gunners down to 10. Of course, Renée Slager's content to use her bench, knowing that she has the comfort of being 4-0 up. Paris can't quite get onto it. Codina. Arsenal really playing front foot, high press football. Cooney cross. You would say by extension, assuming they do go on to win this, it will be 3 wins and a draw for Renée Slagers, putting in quite the audition to potentially end up getting the job. Kirby's managed to get onto that. Sinsberger comes out and hurriedly smashes it away. Kafaji, such an exciting player to watch and showing it immediately here. Goal kick given. Nice defending from Karali. Kafaji, who was a massive part of a BK Hatkins side, who were one of the stories of the UEFA Women's Champions League last season. They reached the quarter-finals of the competition. Kafaji consistently scoring and assisting as, amongst other things, they dumped Real Madrid out in the group stages before falling to Paris Saint-Germain at the last 8. Cooney cross. Has room to shoot, is being urged to do so by most of the 22,000 or so in tonight. Kyra Cooney Cross still hunting her first Arsenal goal. Well, I'm sure there'll be teams across the WSL who will watch how Arsenal managed to pick apart Dario Vidicic's side in transition and in the press tonight. That'll be a theme of the Brighton analysis, you'd imagine. For now, they're trying to get on the scoreboard. Paris has options, and one of them is Pattinson, who's really flying forward, but is stopped by McCabe. Poppy Pattinson, who offers width and energy down that left flank. Poppy Pattinson, who's playing a 98th WSL game tonight, has 2 more to get to the century. Here's Hurtig. Still Hurtig. Corner Arsenal. Lena Hurtig chasing what would have been her first goal for Arsenal in just under a year. You may say that she scored the fourth, but the word I'm getting is that that will go down eventually as an own goal. It'll be up to others far more senior than yours truly to decide. Cooney Cross to take the corner. A player who Arsenal fans love to sing about being magical on the ball. Known for being such a good creator, training how to do that from the corner. Cooney Cross delivers, headed up, and then nudged out for another set piece. Cleared by Maisie Simons. Arsenal relentless in chasing more goals. Could by the end of the season be very useful. They had just 7 in 6 games before tonight. At this stage in the previous 4 seasons, they're 29, 23, 18 and 14. And they've certainly done their best to catch up this evening. 4 and yet maybe more. Cooney Cross. Bounces up off McLaughlin. Kirby tries to clear. Masada just thumps it away. Ball down the line for Russo. Kirali can clear. Just over 5 minutes left here for Arsenal to try and add more. Triple sub ready for Brighton. It's been ready for some time. Aisha Masaka, Maria Oislagas and Bruna all ready to come on. Cooney Cross being chased down by Paris. Hurtig. Thrown one off McLaughlin. Triple sub will come now for Brighton. Vicky Losada to make way. Marisa Olislagas is on for Losada. That will be a straight swap in central midfield. Fran Kirby makes way for Bruna. And to complete the change, Aisha Masaka, the first Tanzanian to play in the Barclays Women's Super League, comes on for Kiko Seke, who had Brighton's best effort to get on the scoreboard tonight, hitting the crossbar. Arsenal chasing a fifth and almost getting it. Fagzi was urged to shoot. And then wild and wide on the follow-up. Well, Arsene Wenger once said you go up in the stairs when it comes to confidence and down in the escalator. Well, they've certainly climbed some stairs, Arsenal, tonight, for a team that have been having some tough times. coasting towards what will be a first home win this season in the WSL, having drawn a couple and lost one. Akita Paris frustrated as Arsenal get the free kick. Worth keeping an eye on as well, the logistical arrangements for Arsenal's Champions League tie against Bayern Munich, which can't be played here on December the 18th due to a clash with the men's team. We've got a Carabao Cup quarter-final against Crystal Palace. Logistical requirements games means both games must be played that night. Meadow Park not up to UEFA requirements, albeit Arsenal were given special dispensation to play Champions League group stage games at Meadow Park back in 2021. Neutral venue appears impossible as well because regulations state the grounds must be nominated before the group stage starts. Asif Burhan reporting that around 7,500 tickets had already been sold for the game against Bayern Munich before they were taken off sale. For now, Arsenal having a golden night at the Emirates. Blackstenius. Decent cross. Hurtig almost put it in on the follow-up and nudged over the bar by Russo. Arsenal hungry for more goals and almost getting another one to celebrate. As we tick towards stoppage time. And what had the potential to be a very nervous night for Arsenal, but it's been a fantastic performance from René Slagers' side. Cooney cross. Felty. Cooney cross. 6 minutes added on. There was Blackstenius. It came off her chest and went out. Blackstenius still hunting that first Arsenal goal of the campaign in the WSL. Blackstenius across all competitions with 13 appearances this season. Still yet to find the net. Russo, understandably, Slagers' first choice, number 9 right now. Straight out from Bagley. Arsenal knowing that win tonight will help keep up some faint ambitions for the title in a women's football picture that's changed a lot. Arsenal winning 11 of the first 12 top-flight titles from 2000 onwards, but after that, all too often heartbreak's been the national anthem. Just one title in the last 12 seasons for Arsenal. They've only finished second once as well in Edeval's first season. The rest of the time finishing third, or on one occasion fourth. But Arsenal with plenty to celebrate tonight. Simons dribbles her way out beautifully. Maybe Brighton can get a consolation. Masaka has options. Paris left it. Blocked in the nick of time. And then Russo helps Arsenal work their way out of trouble. And now Russo can lead a counter. Game getting very open and stretched at both ends. Blackstenius will keep it in. Blackstenius across, Kafaji. Into the 3rd minute of the minimum 6 added on. Up next for Brighton, they're at home against West Ham United next Sunday. Remember, plenty more WSL action coming this Sunday. Liverpool host Chelsea in the early game, then it's Crystal Palace, Everton. West Ham play Leicester. And then it finishes off with Manchester United versus Aston Villa. Hurriedly cleared by Catley. Russo battling for it. Gets it wide to McCabe. Still McCabe, great skills. In behind for Blackstenius. Blackstenius goes down. Brighton's night goes from bad to worse. While Stina Blackstenius was not necessarily in a position to imminently threaten finding the net there. And yet she's hauled down. So, Alessia Russo has it on the spot. Scored against Manchester United, her old club last weekend. And can now make it 5-0 here. It's Alessia Russo against Sophie Bagley. Russo scores! A perfectly placed penalty to round off a 5-star night for Arsenal.
The Arsenal goal scorer number 23, Alessia Russo.
Scored 2 against Brighton at home last season in the WSL back in May. And has repeated it tonight. Arsenal were 5-0 winners in that one. And they're 5-0 up here with still time for a 6th. And Brighton have conceded a couple more goals tonight than in all of the rest of their league season put together. Out off Bruna. Bruna on loan from Barcelona, left out of Dario Vidicic's starting lineup tonight. Hurtig. Simons. Suddenly Masaka has lots of room. Masaka to shoot. Stopped just in time by La Codina. Arsenal just about keep their clean sheet. Aisha Masaka threatening. What would have been her first goal for Brighton since joining from BK Häcken, where she played in the Champions League last season as Häcken reached the quarter-finals. One of her teammates, of course, Rosa Kafaji, who's now on the pitch for Arsenal. Into overtime in stoppage time, Masaka getting treatment. Masaka, who's seen as the bright young thing in Tanzanian women's football, just 20 years old, and already has a highly impressive 9 goals in 15 appearances for her country. Aisha Masaka down, where you have to feel for Dario Vidicic and Brighton. Not only has it been a tough night in terms of the contest, but it looks like it will end with Aisha Masaka getting stretchered off after one of Brighton's key defenders, Maria Forrest-Dottir, came off injured as well earlier on. Let's hope this isn't quite as serious as it looks for the young striker. Nice to see Laia Codina just checking on her. Appears to be the left shoulder of Masaka that is jarred and hitting the ground. So Aisha Masaka getting treatment, and it looks like it's just about to be lifted onto the stretcher once the medics feel it's appropriate. A reminder that there's 4 games to come in the Barclays Women's Super League on Sunday. Liverpool play Chelsea, Crystal Palace host Everton in 9th versus 12th. West Ham play Leicester, that's 11th versus 8th. Manchester United host Aston Villa. Aston Villa, West Ham and Everton, the bottom 3. And the 3 teams who are yet to win the WSL game this season. These 2 sides, of course, much further up the table. Arsenal, with this win and the scoreline as things stand, will move into 12 points with a goal difference of +7. Brighton will have 1 point more than them, but Seagull's goal difference will be chipped down to +2. And Arsenal will go above Manchester United for now, at least. Manchester United would go back above Arsenal if they beat Aston Villa at home on Sunday. Elsewhere, Chelsea with 5 wins from 5, the only team with a perfect record. Manchester City top, and of course in action tonight against Spurs. Arsenal players starting the post-match debrief a little early, and what's been a good night for them. Bigger challenges coming up, a double-header against Juventus in the Champions League, either side of a North London derby. Frida Leonard-Simornon gets the Arsenal pick for player of the match. Norwegian, who scored the 3rd goal. Probably the pick of the bunch in terms of sheer quality of the strike, albeit, just as I say that, Meads in particular also comes to mind with that slalom inside and finish with the left foot off the inside the post. Will be comfortably Arsenal's biggest win of the season. Have won 4-0 against BK Häcken and 4-1 against Vålerenga. And it will continue this run where Arsenal have dominated against Brighton. Brighton have only ever beaten the Gunners once in the modern era. Brighton winning at home a League Cup tie on penalties in November 2019 after a 0-0 draw in Crawley. Likes of McCabe, Williamson, Little, Valti and Mead, some of whom were in shot there, of course, were in the Arsenal side that night when Beth Mead put a penalty over the bar. But in WSL football, Arsenal have been perfect against Brighton. It will be 13 wins from 13. Shortly to be confirmed. For now, everyone here at the Emirates is just hopeful that this isn't quite as serious as it looks for Aisha Masaka. It goes without saying that we all send her our best wishes. Reminder as well that next weekend is the first time in WSL history that every game will be played at a home team's main stadium across all 11 games in the top 2 divisions. Brighton hosting West Ham, Spurs versus Arsenal, Chelsea against Manchester City next Saturday, the 16th of November. On the Sunday, it's Aston Villa Crystal Palace, Leicester City, Manchester United and Everton versus Liverpool. And then on Sunday in the Championship, it's Durham versus London City Lionesses, Sheffield United Sunderland, Newcastle United Southampton, Charlton versus Bristol City and Blackburn versus Portsmouth. Aisha Misaka onto the stretcher. Medics from both Arsenal and Brighton in there doing everything they can to help. And I'm sure the 22,000 or so in here at the Emirates will give her a good ovation as she's carried off. Apologies for those who might find this image is somewhat distressing. So Aisha Misaka is carried off not so long after being substituted on. Well, we all wish our very best to Aisha Misaka in her recovery. Just fell seemingly awkwardly on her shoulder in that collision when she won the corner and was going to shoot up against Cordina in the challenge. Well, I would imagine we were pretty much into overtime in stoppage time, so it might be that pretty much as soon as this corner is taken, the full-time whistle will go. In comes the corner. It's up and over the bar. We'll just about have time for another Brighton corner. Maria Olislav is over to take it again in front of the travelling away fans for whom it's been a tough night. Another corner in, flicked half away towards Bruna. Tried her luck, effort blocked, comes back for Pattinson. Kafaji's there. A five-star night for Arsenal, who needed a big performance, and my goodness me, they got one. Dario Vidicic's Brighton blown away, meaning that Arsenal move just a point behind the Seagulls in the table and make it 13 wins from 13 WSL meetings against Brighton. 3 goals